Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode with The Boring Husband. Hope you had a good CNY break. Okay, for today we are going to be talking about a topic that is a little bit closer to myself, especially since I'm a tech worker. Okay, the topic today is basically about what's happening around us, the recent layoffs, and of course how I feel and what I'm doing about it lah. So before every financial video they always say this is not financial advice, blah blah blah. Same thing for this video, okay? This video is not career advice, okay? I'm not telling you how to live your life, I'm telling you how I'm living mine. If you choose to live your life the way that I do, then that's your call lah. But if it doesn't work out, that's also your problem. Okay? So we divide this video into 3 parts. Okay, we look at what is happening. We look at some of the data surrounding, like, you see the news, 10k people laid off. Is it really a big deal? Is it 1% of the company or is it 99% of the company? People never say that. They don't tell you the numbers, okay? Then we'll look at why people are angry. Why is it on LinkedIn every single person is coming out to say like, oh, I've been in the company for damn long, I'm gone. Why are they angry? Why are they upset? Okay, and lastly, I will cover what I am doing as a tech worker myself. Okay, so let's look at the news in summary. All of you have seen the news. Wow, even in Singapore, Google, Meta, all these, Amazon, Microsoft, they're laying off people, and it's bad. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Okay, but it's also not exactly the kind of news that you want to see. Especially in the post-pandemic world. Bloody hell, already past 2-3 years, we all wear masks. At home. Very quiet. Everything. Then now we're just about to come out and party, and then people are losing their jobs. This is not the post-pandemic world that any of us envision. Okay, but we gotta deal with it. Okay, so since May 2022, Twitter laid off about 4,000 people. Is that a big deal? Yes, that's 50% of their workforce. If you look at, let me see, another popular one, Meta, they laid off 11,000 people. Is that a big deal? Depends. That's only 13% of their workforce. Okay, we look at another company we should all know is Goldman Sachs. Laid off about 3,200 people. Is that a big deal? 7% of their workforce. Meh. Everything else, like the big ones that you see recently, Alphabet laying off 12,000, Microsoft laying off 10,000, that represents less than 5 to 6% of their workforce. If you say that in the headlines, I laid off 5% of my company, not as many clicks as you imagine it to be lah. But of course, if you say that I laid off 10,000 workers, that is a big deal. Okay, so we need to understand that in media, right, okay, they are all about you clicking into it. And same for news, when they report it, they always try and make it, seem extravagant, but depending on how you look at it, it may not really be as big as what it seems. So always try and go a little bit deeper into it. If I lay off 10,000 workers, is that 50% of my company? Is that 5%? It's important for us to know these things. Now, one company has not been in the news. I'm not sure if you all noticed. Okay, Netflix, what else do I have here? 3M, all these people. But the one company that has not been in the news is Apple. Okay, Apple has been slowly floating under the radar. And to my most recent knowledge, even if they're letting people go, they're not letting people go in as big of numbers as what we see with the other tech companies. Now, just some information in summary. Okay, in the past 3 years, Apple grew at about 20-25%. Okay, year on year. Okay, and as such, when they increase their workforce, proportionate to that level of growth. Okay, however, if we look at other companies like Microsoft, Amazon, they increased by almost 50%. Okay, in terms of growth, and hence, when you look at the number of people needed to so-called fill in the gaps, that is more. Okay, so that's why Apple, they are a little bit more conservative, in the sense that when they do things, when they do their projects and all that, they don't go big into like your I mean, I know they're building a car, they're building a headset, but they don't go big into like metaverse and things like that. Their projects usually are more rational. Their projects usually have more fundamentals, so to say. So when we look at Apple in general, they are not in the news. Because I would say, well, debatable at best, but they are amply staffed. They are not overstaffed. Okay, so of course, not that I'm trying to recommend Apple, okay, or full disclaimer, I have no Apple shares. Okay, but I just find it very, very interesting that throughout this whole time, we don't see anything about Apple at all. Okay, and in my opinion, that is really, really, really good for their HR. Because like, wow, you see people lost their job at Facebook, Amazon, well, I'm never going to apply there again. But you see like Apple, like no one's losing jobs there. So it's a huge morale booster that to some extent is priceless for those within the company. I mean, you look at all your friends losing their jobs, so-called all lah, okay, but and you at Apple, you're doing fine. I think to some extent you kind of value yourself in the company more, maybe even work harder. Some food for thought. Okay, so next topic. Why are people angry? Okay, now this topic that this part here, okay, it's gonna take a few people off, okay, but I am reporting facts for what they are. Okay, so to my most best of my knowledge here lah, okay, a lot of people are very angry, okay, and it's not so much being laid off, okay, it's how they are being laid off and why. Okay, we address the how part first. Okay, write it down. How and why. Okay, two parts. So, when they are being laid off, are they being so-called seated down by a supervisor and saying, okay, you are being laid off because of X, Y, Z? Or are they just coming to work as usual and then they receive an email and they cannot access their account? Correct? It's the latter. We see everything on LinkedIn like, I came to work today, 6 a.m., couldn't log in and I knew it was me. And these are things that like really frustrate the hell out of people because like they didn't see it coming. Yeah, of course you can argue that they get their 3 months or they can keep their laptop, that kind of crap. But for people that need the stability, it is something that's very, very, very upsetting, when you just come to work and you can't access your Slack or your Gmail. And this is something that, from what I see over here, is that it's really something that is very upsetting to people because based on this talent advisory search, Amplify Talent, okay, they told Insider, okay, that wherever you can, you need to be clear. You need to be clear because this will go a long way and it will not only bolster your company's brand, but it will also, to some extent, help to retain your remaining employees' loyalty. Okay, so this is the how. Okay, when we look at the why, okay, now this one is a bit tricky, yeah. Okay, now based on this same company, this Amplify Talent, okay, I quote word for word, so it's not my opinion, okay. So the people that are being laid off, okay, addressed to them, okay, they might not have been their best performers, but because they have high tenure, they are likely to be overcompensated. Hence, they are likely to have a bigger paycheck than someone who does the same job with less tenure. Okay, so I need to say, a minor possibility, okay, is that if you are being laid off, okay, there's a very, very, very possible chance based on this research here that someone is doing your job possibly better, but definitely at a lower pay. Okay, and this is your company's way of letting you go the best that they can, and not good news for you, okay, but for shareholders in general, fortunately or unfortunately, it's a good thing for them lah. Okay, so the company will never tell you this in person, okay, when they let you off, but this is one possibility, okay, why they are letting you off lah. Okay, basically, and also we are seeing news, right? People stay 8-10 years, engineers, and they are getting laid off. Same thing. Okay, these people that stay a long time, they are most likely to command a higher salary. I mean, obviously, right, you stay in the company longer, you want to be paid more. Okay, hence, if the company can no longer afford to keep them, or there's someone that's willing to do at or about the same duties at less, then this is a possible reason why they have let you off lah. Okay, and of course that leads us to the last point. How do I feel? What I'm doing about it. Okay, now I work in tech, but my job is varied, but it's pretty much in strategy and sales. Okay, and from what I see so far, we see a lot of technical people being laid off, engineers, etc. We see a lot of HR being let go, talent acquisition, HR, and these are departments that, especially for HR, I guess, it scales proportionately to the number of people you have in the company. Less people in the company, you need less HR. Okay, now, in my opinion, of course I scared correct. Like, I don't want to lose my job. I mean, we all have multiple sources of income. Okay, but I believe that you should always focus on your primary source. This is my primary source. I am focused on it. I don't want to lose it. So of course I'm scared. Okay, and I think a little bit of fear goes a long way, because if you're a little bit scared to lose your job, obviously you'll work a little bit harder. So I am working harder. And to this extent, I mean, let's face it, the era of like tech workers being the king is over. Like, during COVID, the lockdown, yeah, you are a tech worker, damn good, you sit at home, work from home, shake leg. Like, whatever, you get your money, you get paid well, but that era is over. Now a tech worker is same as everyone else. In fact, you saw the news lately, right? People like plumber, all that kind of thing, earning a lot. You know what I mean? In fact, the craftsmen and the laymen are the ones that are, I guess, have their skills in much more demand. It's a matter of demand and supply. People say tech is good, everybody goes software school. Like, and now what do you have? Like, lack of people that like, physical craftsmen. Like, is there a plumbing school? Obviously not. Okay, so demand and supply, less people doing it, these people get paid more. Okay, and same thing, in my opinion, okay, in this kind of uncertain macro environment, companies want to cut costs. Okay, they top line, bottom line, cost center, profit center. Okay, in my opinion, cost centers are always the first to go. Okay, because they don't generate revenue. Okay, if a company wants to cut costs, they will never look at reducing revenue. Okay, that just, in my opinion, doesn't make sense in most circumstances. They'll look at reducing costs. Unfortunately, CS, ops, these are things that, cost the company money that doesn't have an exact return. In most uncertain circumstances, these will be the first to go. Okay? Sales, BD, strategy. These are things that, in my opinion, a company wants to continue growing its revenue. Corporate sales, very, very unlikely to be retrenched. Very, very unlikely. Okay, I see a few floating around, but if you just kind of do a quick scroll on LinkedIn, put the hashtag in Tech Layoffs, it's very, very unlikely that you will see that, there are like people like corporate sales or BD. Okay, so overall, these are my thoughts. Okay, for those people that of course have lost their jobs, I feel for you. Okay, for those of us that are still in the fight, okay, my best advice to myself, can't say to you, okay, is that to continue to work hard. Okay, try to make yourself do more than what you're paid for. Give the company more. That's what I feel always, all the time. Put yourself in a position where if a company ever has to decide whether they want to terminate you, that they will bleed without you. That's my best advice. And thanks guys, have a great week ahead.